The Wall Street bailout not only didn't work, it created a sucker class that has been screwed by the government. That's what Rolling Stone's Matt Taibbi says in his latest feature, Secrets and Lies of the Bailout.
One of the things that struck me was just how many lies were told in the course of administering the bailout. And so I started just sort of compiling a list of all the different things that they told the public that turned out not to be true. And then sort of toward the end, I realized that the lie was the bailout, that was really part of the whole rescue effort, was telling the American public that all these companies were healthy when in fact they weren't. And they created this kind of dichotomy where there were some people who knew the real numbers and who knew exactly how viable these companies were, and other people who just didn't know the real numbers.
So help me understand this, and Neil, feel free to jump in. Who knew and who didn't know? Because the narrative the American people had is that we were coming here to save America, to save the financial system, to stabilize things, and generally that everyone acted in good faith, and even when mistakes were made, people were generally acting in good faith. I'm hearing no.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I think a lot of the people who were involved in this rescue effort thought that they were doing the right thing, but I think that they were misguided in a lot of ways. I think they thought that hiding the real truth about the condition of companies like Citigroup, for instance, and Goldman Sachs and all these other initial bailout recipients, I think they genuinely thought that it was in the best interest of the American people. But in doing so,
to lie to them.
Yeah, I mean, what they said when this was a part of the capital purchase program, the original part of TARP, the first tranche where they just sort of directly injected cash into these companies. And all of these companies, they said they were only going to give money to companies that were quote unquote healthy and viable. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the very core, the original sin of TARP in many ways was this whole notion that we have to fool the American people and pretend the banks are more healthy than they actually were in order to bring back a level of confidence. And this is something when, as Special Inspector General, one of our first reports was sort of detailing, all we did is we went and actually talked to the different principals, Ben Bernanke, Hank Paulson, Tim Geithner, and said, well, you said these banks were healthy and viable. What was your basis for saying that? And Geithner said, well, we didn't really think about that. And then Paulson said, gee, I thought Morgan Stanley was going to go next. Ben Bernanke said Goldman Sachs was soon to follow. So there was this level of deception that started TARP. And it's one of the real great costs of the financial crisis that I think a lot of people don't pay attention to, and I think Matt explains so well in this article, which is that there's a reason why people have lost so much faith in their government. And when it's exposed that the government has, in this very condescending way, has been deceitful towards us, it's really hard to get that trust back. And it's really one of the lasting legacies of the bailouts is that loss of faith in government.